Every good story that's not a slice of life needs a good protagonist and antagonist. Or both in a single character if you're Attack on Titan. Apparently no one at Crunchyroll attended middle school English classes. Only way for Eren to be both the protagonist and antagonist is for him to actively oppose himself. But we're going off topic here. Hey, it's me, welcome back to yet another video. The point I'm going to mention here doesn't apply if the villain in question is the protagonist, such as Light Yagami. It applies if the villain is also the antagonist, which is how it is in most shows. This is a personal opinion, but I believe anime so far has offered
much better
heroes compared to villains, and I think my point is a major reason why. Anime and their goddamn obsession with backstories. Anime, or particularly the shonen genre, is absolutely obsessed with having backstories. If Kishimoto wrote Attack on Titan, the rock Zeke threw at the scouts would have a backstory about how it had a rough childhood and doesn't deserve to be chucked halfway across the city. It's unreal how hard anime leans into this. It's fine for the protagonists, debatable for the side characters, but fairly unnecessary when it comes to the villains. Now there's nothing wrong with having a sympathetic villain in a story where it leaves you wondering who to root for. It's compelling, or would be if it wasn't so damn overdone. When's the last time you saw an anime where there wasn't a half-assed attempt at making the villain someone you can sympathize with in the form of a backstory? And I feel writers, in anime especially, don't understand that it's fine if a villain is just a psychopath for no reason. There doesn't always need to be a trigger. Since anime is often very theatrical, villains end up doing the most insane stuff and the backstory to justify it pales in comparison. I don't want to see Evil Guy 101 destroy all life on Earth because someone stole his pen in middle school. That doesn't make sense, it's not a logical progression. This often makes the backstory feel unimportant and paints the villain as a psychopath anyway, which begs the question, why have it at all? It feels like a waste of time, to be quite honest. In my opinion, of course, what matters far more than the backstory or the origin of the villain and his motivation is the actual motivation itself and the villain's goal. What the villain believes is far more significant than the situations that led to said belief. Most of my favorite villains, the likes of Kotomine Kire from the Fate series, Sato from Ajin, and Makushima Shogo from Psycho Pass, don't have a clearly defined origin of their villainy, and I feel that's what makes them so good. This sense of ambiguity and mystery around them. While we know everything about the hero, the villain is an enigma we don't quite understand. This is the distinguishing factor between the two groups, which is something I prefer a lot more than the same villain is the same as the hero but went down the wrong path gimmick. Of course, this preference is subjective, but what isn't subjective is the fact that it's overdone. Nearly every villain falls into the mold of the generic sympathetic bad guy. There's little to no variation. Irrespective of what people prefer, I think most shows should just try something different for once. They have an advantage with the villain. We closely follow the protagonist and his or her entourage, but the villain is alien to that. The only characters you need to sympathize with are them. It doesn't hurt if the villain is also to some degree sympathetic, but variation is also important. Another massive issue is that in a fight between a hero and a villain, there is almost always a winner, generally the hero. But since we have already established the villain as sympathetic, no one really wins. Which is not the issue. The issue is that anime often presents itself in a way where we are sympathetic to the villain but root for the hero anyway. At least the anime wants us to. Which is a contradiction and essentially means that even though the anime provided a villain backstory, they don't want us to look too deep into it. But then why have it to begin with? It feels so painfully tame, safe and overdone I roll my eyes every time it cuts to the villain's childhood. I genuinely hope more shows try something different when it comes to the villains. Now let me make something clear yet again. What I'm saying is not that having a villain backstory is automatically bad. All I'm saying is don't treat it like a necessity. Don't fabricate a backstory where it's not needed just because you feel like you need to have one or the story is incomplete, because that's not true at all. So that was that. What was that? You enjoyed the video? Well, there's this wonderful thing called the like and the subscribe button. Press both of them, will ya? Check out my socials and animation account as well. Link in the descriptions, and until next time.